I am so hoping that this is working better. Apparently, I just am not good with technology. Every time I try to do big Zoom things, it always crashes and burns. I don't know what I'm doing wrong. I think I need a class just on how to do Zooms. Somebody has to come educate me. So I am oiling up because I have been for 22 minutes either trying to get the Zoom to work, or when we went to switch over to Facebook Live and do it, we ended up having where it said my camera wasn't working. What happened to my camera? It was working on the Zoom. Y'all, I don't even know. This is what my theory is. Somebody for real needed this class. Like, this is the class that's going to just set somebody's life on fire. And I'm super excited about that because we had to just push through and do it anyways. So oils I am throwing on right now, y'all. I've got some Endo Flex. We're going to be talking about that one. This one is great for like everything I just went through, the stress of trying to get it done. It's great for bringing you back down to an easy calm. It also actually helps to give you some energy, even though it can calm all that stuff down. Oh, I'm so glad you guys are finding me. Hopefully next week I will have it figured out and we can do it as a Zoom. The reason why I'm really wanting to do Zoom is so that people can ask questions and chit chat, because hormones are one of those things you need to be able to talk it through sometimes. So I'm really hoping we can do that. Go ahead and write your questions and I will follow up afterwards. But this is what we're going to do. Each week is a different topic. And this week, we're just kind of give you a big overview of your endocrine system in general and how it works with some different things. We're going to do a little bit of history too. I really wanted to be able to have the Zoom for the PowerPoint so you guys could see some stuff. I did go through and make a PowerPoint, and y'all, I put the words in it. So for those of you that want to turn around and teach it, the PowerPoint that you can find on shannonhudsonyl.com has all of the verbiage on there. So you can actually teach the class, which makes me really happy because truthfully, I believe if you hear something good, if you know something good, you need to tell other people. And I'm hoping that today you will get that you'll have that confidence to be able to go out and share with other people. So the other one I'm throwing on right now is peace and calming because I just, I love my peace and calming. Please tell me what oil. I didn't put any out. I just sniffed it. Please tell me what oils that you are using, because I love to hear what everybody is doing. So give me a hey, tell me where you're from. Share the video with your friends. It's gonna be a little chaotic because some of it, like I said, I had a PowerPoint because some of it would give you some visual pictures. So hopefully I'll be able to speak and share enough with you that you'll be all right without the pictures. So those are my oils. I'm going to get started because we are like 25 minutes late. Really apologize about that. So I want to do a couple of house cleaning things. If you found us, just you're out and about and you just found us, yay, and you have questions, shoot those messages to me. If you'd like to get started, if you're like, oh, I want to do some of that, message me. But if you found it because somebody shared the link with you, if you found it because one of your friends posted it on their page, or it was sent to you in a text or anything, make sure you get back with the person that sent that information to you, because those are the people that are going to help you get all your stuff and help you on your oily journey. So make sure you follow up with the right people. And then again, make sure you're sharing it with other people. This is week 1 of 5. So today we are really going to be going over some history. So when I got into Young Living back in 2007, um, there were some things that I had issues with the company. I'm like, oh, I don't know. See, I am a Christian. You might as well know that up front about me. I'm a Christian. I believe the Word of God from the front page to the last page, everything in between, that whole 7 days of creation, hook, line, and sinker. I believe every single word of it. So anything that I do or share or teach, it has to come from the Word. If it doesn't line up with the Word, then I have a problem with it. So understanding that, then you can understand why some of the things kind of freaked me out. They were like weird, new agey stuff I wasn't familiar with, and it kind of, I had had such a dramatic introduction to Young Living. Like my life legitimately in 25 minutes after oils were put on me was radically and dramatically changed. Like Boom. And I know that every good thing comes from Father. And knowing that means that this has got to be good. Like, good only comes from Father God, from my belief system. So when I was looking at some of the oils and some of the descriptions, like the bottle of forgiveness, I had an issue with that. Let me see some hands up if that was an issue for you, because forgiveness as a Christian, that only comes from God. Like, that is not, you're not going to get forgiveness in a bottle. And I had issues. Like, I understood the science behind why the oils were doing what the oils were doing. And I knew physically that I felt better. Emotionally, I felt better. My family seen I was nicer. Like, so many things that happened, but I couldn't understand it. And I know, again, this is my belief system, the world according to Shannon. I know that if you teach somebody and lead them astray, then you are held accountable to that when you stand before God. And I was like, dude, I can't teach something that I don't understand, that I don't believe in, that I think might lead somebody away from God, the new aging thing. So I put a declaration out to God. I said, you gotta show me. You gotta show me that it's okay, so that I know how to say these things, so that I can understand them. So for me, some of it was, it took time, but the other thing is I started looking back at history. You got to understand, historically speaking, forever, people laid here and they looked up at the sky at night and they seen all the stars and they seen all of these beautiful solar systems and everything. I mean, all these different stars and all of them. They looked at them and they were beautiful. They drove vehicle. I mean, they drove their vehicles. They drove their boats. They did the things, and they guided their way by the stars. And each and every culture named the stars different things. There were different constellations. That's the word I keep looking for. And they all tried to figure out who we are, where we came from, and all the different things. And part of that helped me understand some things, like the days of the week. Like, we all get it: Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Like, we can all agree 100% on the days of the week. I know right now y'all are probably going, what does this have to do with oils? This is belief system. This is me understanding why we say the things we do, so that I felt confident to share. And, you might be on here right now and you're not a Christian and this wasn't a big deal for you, but I promise you, you're going to come up, you're going to meet Christians. We're everywhere. Like, we're all out there. So you need to be able to understand how to speak to us. And then honestly, every religion, because we all have our own belief systems, we need to be able to come together and agree on some things. And one of the things we can agree on is the days of the week. For real, right? We all call it the same thing. Even, maybe different, like, we just pronounce things different, but it's still Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. But did you know that those were actually named after Norse gods? It was named after their gods. And to me, that was amazing that Sunday was after Sol, Sol, and that was Sol's Day. And Sol was the god of the sun, and that became Sol Day. And Monday was Moon, and it was even pronounced different, and that was Moon Day, and it was named after. And you've got Friday was after Freya, who was Norse god of weddings and of bringing people together, and weddings used to actually be done on Fridays, not the traditional Saturdays. So those names, like the days of the week, are called those days of the week because they founded them. And it stuck, right? Every culture named them things. And it happened to be that the Vikings, they got to name our days of the week. And just because I don't believe in the gods that they're named after, doesn't mean they're not still the days of the week. The next thing that I looked at was our planets. Like, again, we can all, regardless of what religion you're coming from, we can all agree that around us, we are on the planet Earth, and there are planets all around us. And we've got the sun right in the center, and those planets are all spinning. They're doing their things, spinning. We've even got a couple that spin in a different direction just to blow evolution out of the water. We've got all these different things happening. And our ancestors culturally would lay back and they seen them. And the word planet, actually, even the definition of planet is the wanderers, because they laid there and they seen that there were these planets that had that moved around, and that they did it at different times, and they wandered through the sky, and they named those wanderers. And again, different cultures. Chinese had names for them, and the Sumerians had names for them, and The Romans had name for them, and the Greeks had names for them. And the planets that we have right now, like, did you know that Mercury is named after the god Mercury? He was the god of communication. He had little winged feet, and he flew back and forth between the gods and the people. And they named him that because that planet went so quickly around the sun. It was quick, and so that was the god. And we even refer to that today. You'll hear people say, "Oh, Mercury's in retrograde. There's going to be confusion. We're going to have stuff." Wonder if Mercury's in retrograde. That right now, that's retrograde. That's why we have problems getting on. But they're all named after it. Jupiter, Saturn. Those were gods. Now, I don't believe in those gods, but we still call the planets the same thing. Like we can all agree on that. That's the names of the planets. And I say all this so you can picture something else, so that you can kind of get what I had an issue with. There are things that we cannot see, there are things that we don't always understand, but they are what they are. It's the way it is, the planets, the days of the week, even things like you get a compass, and a compass that always points towards north, right? Your compass is always directing you. Now, we can't see the magnetic field that's there. We can't, with our eyes, go, oh, there's the magnetic field taking me over there. That's how it works. We can't see it, we don't understand it, but it exists. And it actually, the earth has this magnetic field, and it comes out way around it. So the reason we see like the aurora borealis and the beautiful northern lights and things is because of the way our magnetic field comes, and we see that radiation, and it's beautiful, and it shows up gorgeous, and it's protecting the planet, protecting us, so little things just bounce off of it. That's a part of how that's supposed to happen. It's huge and important, but we need to understand that our body, the human body, we have the same type of a protection around us, and we all know it. Like, science has been studying for a long time how close is too close. Like, back in the olden days, people, we used to go out in public, and we would be in the same room as each other. And when we were, you had your own personal bubble. And when people got too close to you, you would back up. It's not comfortable. As a matter of fact, science says it's about 16 inches. When people get about 16 inches away, the average person will back away because they're in our space, they're in our bubble. But that bubble, they have shown, actually goes a really far distance. It goes like, I think they were saying 16 feet. We can feel around us and above us. That's our circle. That's our bubble. That's all that good stuff. And we can call it all kinds of different things. You can call it your circle, your bubble, your personal space, but it doesn't change anything. Like, people call it aura. We have this circle around us. And you don't have to like the word aura. And I didn't like it. The word aura is a word that to me is all weird and new agey. And I'm like, oh, I don't like it. But just because they named it doesn't mean it isn't really there. It's there. And we know that. How many times have you been in a room and you're like, oh, that person creeps me out? You just get the willies from somebody. Oh, she's sad. You can just feel it from across the room. That is our ooey goodness intertwined between each other. That's our bubbles getting together. And like I said, whether or not we like the name aura, you can call it bubbles, personal space, whatever you want. It is talking about something that's there. They just found it and got to name it. That's all it is. Chakras. Chakras is another one. So chakras, the first time that was used was actually in the Hindu, I think it's called the Vedas. And in that, they described these 7 centers that we have. And what they found is 7 centers on the body that are spiraling and spinning and taking in information all the time. They are. It's there whether we like the name chakras or not. Personally, I don't like chakras. It's a Hindu thing, and I'm not a big fan of it. But I do know that we have these amazing energy centers, and that they were put on my body, and my body recognizes them as information either way. I'm just saying, you have to choose. For me, knowing that God created my body that way, and things can be used for good or bad. I heard somebody the other day saying that, one of the personality books, they're like, I got called. And the thing is, it's what are you going to do with it? Essential oils have radically and dramatically changed my life. And I don't care if somebody else uses them a different way. I know how I'm using them. I know what they have done to me. And God put that energy into the plants. It's there. He gave my body receptors for said plants. I'm just saying that vibration, that frequency, our body needs it. It's huge. So we're going to be talking about the correlation between all of those centers. So you have right here on the top of your head, you have right here, then you have over your throat, you have over your chest, over your heart right here, you got one over your belly button. You got 7 beautiful different spots on your body, and they line up perfectly to your endocrine system. And that's why we're chit-chatting about it right now, is because I want you to understand that these energy centers that are happening line up. So like this one right here on the top of your head, y'all see me in the videos a lot where I'm just taking some oils and just sprinkle them on the top of my head. And that's because this area right here, this is relating to our pineal gland. It helps to open that up and get that frequency and vibration, because stuff happens, y'all. Stuff happens and it blocks those up. And today we're going to go through all the endocrine and all of those centers so you can understand how we can open them up. So then the different nutrients that we talk about, the different supplements that we talk about, the different, your thyroid, this right here, this is where your thyroid is. It's got your thyroid and parathyroid. This is also what we call the throat center. And if some of these emotions are blocking that, you're going to see that things aren't going to flow the way they're supposed to. So that's all we're going to do today, is go over all those things. I know I said all, but I'm trying really hard to make this be like an hour class, because this particular class, it was a big long seminar that we did over the course of weeks. So it's going to go pineal, pituitary, thyroid, that's right here. Then you're going to have your thymus, which is right over the heart and thymus, and this right here. And then you've got your spleen and pancreas, and then gonads, ovaries, and adrenal glands. So this is going to be exciting. I hope I haven't confused or blown anybody away. And if you don't believe in anything I just said, that's okay. Dismiss all of it and let's start from here. So again, if everything I do comes from the Word of God, then you got to understand, God created us. He breathed life. He spoke us into existence, and He put us in the Garden of Eden. Now, you don't have to believe that. But even if you believe evolution, we grew up here on this planet, right here in this planet. And there's some things, again, if we can get into an agreement of things, there's some things back in that Garden of Eden, or in the very beginning, we had a toxic free environment. There wasn't all the chemicals, there wasn't all of the garbage that is in our water and in our atmosphere, and in our plants and in the things that we eat and we drink. We can agree that it was toxin free. That's important for a healthy endocrine system. That's important for your body to be able to function. Like any class I ever teach you, that is a foundational thing that we have to understand the importance of. We can agree that there was evergreen thing, like literally, He put us in the garden and He said, "I give you evergreen thing. The green things are for the healing of the nation." And we were eating from the land. We ate apples and we ate oranges and we ate, the celeries and all of the food straight from the land. It was all clean food. So, you hear me talk about all the time that I'm not going to tell you which diet to or not to do, because I'm not going to go there. Everybody has their own opinion. But can you agree that what we were eating in the beginning was toxic free and it was alive? And that's the importance, is that alive gives us so many different enzymes and things. Can you agree that there would have been an amazing frequency and vibration? Y'all, you know that just these, we're all right now on a computer doing this. Is there electrical vibration, radiation coming from our machinery? For sure. It's in the air now, literally swirling around us, as everybody's Wi-Fi's are all over the place. Do you think that has a play in how our health is going? For sure. Like, you can't deny, when we were in that garden, it was different. That vibration, that frequency would have been different. Sunshine, water. We have these receptors. I heard a speaker just recently said the best I've ever heard on how we have receptors in our skin for vitamin D. Like, we talk about that a lot. And vitamin D is this beautiful pro hormone. Our body makes it, and it goes in and does just so many different things. Like, hundreds of things. And part of what vitamin D does is it's flipping switches on and turning things down. Like, you're being too much, and it will turn it down. That's vitamin D. And will you agree with me that in the beginning, we were outside under the sun. None of us were putting sunblock on. We weren't covering up with hats and all the clothes on, right? We were out there in that sun, and our body could just make all the vitamin D it needed. And it was the coolest thing this lady said was plants, right? Plants make chlorophyll, and their little leaves open up and they suck in all the sun, num, 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 and they love it. And they turn green, they make chlorophyll, all the things. But when you take that plant out of the sun, the plant will begin to wither, but it can wither over days and weeks and months before it dies. And she said, we're withering. We were designed and created. We need vitamin D, that expressive, out in the sun, getting all that stuff. We just don't get it. And we will talk a little bit more about that when we go in depth on the pineal gland. But when we were in the garden, we would have got it. We would have got fresh, clean water. That's all we would have drank. We would have so many different things. We would have had that wind blowing on us. All of these things are huge. All of these things are so important. And in the beginning, either side, we all got it. We all had all those things. We were supposed to tend the garden. The scripture says that he put us in the garden for us to tend to the garden. Tend means we would have been moving. We would have been out there working in that garden and working in that soil and touching that dirt and getting all those all of those, oh, life force. We would have been getting all these critters on our hands, and it would have been on our food, and we would have ate them, and our microbiome would have just thrived. It would have had all this good stuff because your gut. Do you guys know that 80% of your serotonin happens in your gut? This is a big deal, and we will hit back on that in a minute. So movement, getting out there, touching the dirt. Another thing that happens when we're tending that soil and touching the dirt is it helps us to discharge all of the excess electricity that we have. So all those EMFs and all the vibrations in our brain is just going down miles a minute and all the stuff. And you hug a tree or you touch the ground and it discharges just like a grounding wire does. All that excess that's in the soil, y'all. That's where we were supposed to be. I'm just saying. And that we would have gotten tons of macronutrients. So macronutrients are things like your proteins, it is your lipids, all your good fats and things like that, all your carbohydrates. We got lots of macronutrients from all of these things. And I heard somebody say, Shannon, if you're just eating plants and stuff, you're not getting any proteins. Poppycock. That's not true. Plants have all kinds of proteins. Think of the elephants. Elephants are really plant eaters. They get a lot of bugs too. They get plenty of protein. I'm not telling you to become a vegan, vegetarian, anything like that. I'm just saying in the beginning, we would have gotten it. And with all those macronutrients, we would have got a ton of micronutrients. And why does that matter? Because all those micronutrients, there's so many teeny tiny things that our body, like the smallest piece of intelligence that comes into our body from an outside source, that smallest piece is in those micronutrients. And those micronutrients know what to do in our cells. They know, like tiny bibbits. We talked the other day about nitro. Nitro is one of the ones with those tiny nutrients, and one in here is ribose and what it does for you, your beautiful heart and your cardiovascular system. And you just need bibbits. It's teeny tiny. So those micronutrients, we were supposed to get it in every single thing that we ate. Every single thing. We were supposed to get enzymes. Enzymes are so important to overall health. Like I cannot explain to you the importance of enzymes because enzymes take the food that we give it, whatever food, and the enzymes break the food down into tiny little pieces. So now our body can absorb it. So you eat that, big old piece of grass-fed steak done right, all the good things, and you eat it. If you don't have enzymes to break that down, those amino acids just go out through your stool and you get no absorption. The enzymes break it down into all of its individual peptides and polypeptides, breaks it down into the lipids that are a part of it, so that now my bloodstream can suck it up and take it to all the different nutrients it needs to go to. The enzymes. And here's the thing, when you get all the minerals that your body needs, like you are saturated, because we were supposed to get minerals in every sip of water. We were supposed to get minerals every time you ate meat, every time you ate plants, tons of minerals, tons of enzymes, but our soil doesn't have it anymore. But when you got all the minerals you need, your body can flip switches all day. It's moving like a queen, just doing all the things. And when you get minerals and enzymes, your body can do amazing things that partners together. It's like, I'm going to take this piece right now. Sure, you take that over there. I'm going to do this. And it's all done by communication and messengers going back and forth. This is what God planned for us. His plan was that we get all these things. Our cell, like again, you're into evolution. That's okay because we still grew up on this planet, and everything I just mentioned was still a part of our growth process. It was still a part of every single cell. Those hormones that we're talking about, those hormones that our body is so desperate for, like hormones tell everything else in your body what to do. They're kind of like the bosses here. You do this, you do that, you do this, you do this, you do this, and it partners together with our nervous system. Like our hormones are made from those peptides, those polypeptides, and the lipids. And those enzymes are able to break parts off to change the reaction so we get the right cascade we're supposed to have. But you got to get all the minerals. You got to get all those enzymes. They're a huge part of it. And that was the plan. That was the reason we were eating that wide variety of food. That's the reason why we were out there making all that vitamin D. Like, I think I'm going to do a class, I really do, on vitamin D. And then I'm going to do a class on vitamin B because both of those are so like, you've heard of apex predators. I think vitamin D and vitamin B are apex nutrients for the human body. So I want you to understand how DNA works. Like, I don't know if you've ever thought about this before, but you watch the different mystery shows and you're like, how do they take a hair follicle or somebody's, skin off of their hand because they left some pieces behind or even saliva and they run it and they're like DNA 99.9%, that is Shannon Hudson. How do they do that no matter where it comes from? How is that DNA the same? And how does that DNA know to become saliva or to become an eyeball or to become, hair? And this is where you got to understand your DNA is the handwritten story of you. God literally said, this is Shannon. And he created that DNA with all of its uniqueness and perfection, with every single iota perfect, perfectly perfect in every way. And so we have DNA, and we don't get new DNA. Our DNA remains the same, but then we have RNA. And this is going to be quick. I'm not going to go deep because I know for some of you, you're already going, Shannon, get to the point. But you have to understand it to get what we're going to talk about. So you have your DNA, and then you have your RNA. And RNA is kind of like a copy of the DNA, but it works like an antenna. And it picks up, this is RNA, and it picks up information from other sources. And that information is what creates the trait. And the trait is sent on peptides, polypeptides, and lipids. So understanding that your story, your DNA, handwritten story of you in all your perfection. This is huge and important to understand. And the RNA is picking up information. So where does that information come from? It comes from all kinds of different things. It comes from the food that we're putting in. If you're eating ho-hos, that's the information that you are sending to your RNA. If you were eating good, healthy food, organic, no pesticides, so we're going as close back to that Garden of Eden as we can, then that RNA is picking up different information. But your RNA also picks up emotions. This is big. And that can be real things that have happened or perceived things that have happened. We're doing a class the end of this month that is all going to be on emotional release. And I think it's really important to understand how that works. How does an emotional trauma set into your organs? Things like your liver, the vibration in your liver picks up anger. So when you're angry and you're mad, you're, oh, but you got to suck it up and put it away and don't say anything. And we suck it up and we put it away. And instead, that vibration literally sets into the liver and it starts causing damage because now that antenna, that RNA, is holding on to that new information. And that new information is anger. And here's the deal, my body was made by my mom and my dad. And all of the traits, the RNA traits, so their perfection of DNA And then the RNA, which is all the information from them and all the information from their parents and their grandparents and all down cascades. So that now I got all kinds of stuff set in my RNA and my DNA and my cells that I didn't even have anything to do with, that I'm now dealing with. How many times do you have those things that you do over and over and over again? You tell yourself, stop, I'm never going to do XYZ again. This is where oils help to unlock that vibration and release it. So it goes back, it erases the mistaken trait, and it sets us back to that perfection that the cells were supposed to have. This is powerful. When people are just trying to, they're like, what product do I take for this? Or we go and we get a cream for our hormones, and we're like, but I'm still angry, or I'm still emotional, or I still am losing my hair, or all the things. It's because we didn't go to the underlying cause. That's why I wanted to start today's series with the let's clean up the communication. Think about all these things trying to communicate with each other, and then think about a rope with knots in it, or a hose with a big kink in it, and the water can't come out the other end no matter how high you turn the hose on. If it's kinked, you're not going to get the flow, right? We need to unkink all of these different things so we can start getting a flow of vibration and energy and be able to see some major things happening. So we're going to start right up here on your crown, on the pineal. And again, these PowerPoints will be available for you so you can teach the classes. Oh, so your pineal gland, this is our spiritual and physical antenna. So this is where that information is coming in. This is where when this is blocked, we have a challenge connecting to, even connecting to God. I talk to people, like I pray, I sing, and I don't think that anybody's listening. And part of that can be this blockage. Now you got to understand that in the temple, and this is like most of the religions of the world, have incense that they have going on. And those incense are things like frankincense and myrrh. And when God told the Israelites what to burn in the temple, myrrh and frankincense, those were burning 365. And part of what happens is it opens and it clears that pineal. So I'm sorry, yeah, the pineal gland. And so examples of that. So people that don't take facial cues, right? You're like trying to get away, and they're still coming at you. They don't see that. They have a hard time connecting with that. Tones. You know how you can give your child a tone like in a minute, and they know, okay, they've crossed the line. I have to stand next to the cart, or mom is going to lose her stuff, right? But they get that. They see the cues, they hear the sounds, and some people have a really hard time with picking that up, and that is pineal issues going on. The feeling of being isolated, that you're all by yourself. Okay, right now all of us feel isolated, but when you're in with a group of people and still feeling like you're on the outside, you're not a part of it. You don't feel that connection. That is the pineal gland. And some good oils that you can put right on the crown, or like I said, you notice when I do it, I drop it because that aura, your bubble, oils cross through that bubble, and as they do, they expand. They open it up and they clean it. Just this is one of those where I just have to tell you, it just is what it is. It just is. Go ahead, drop those oils, see what happens. So you can do things like rose. Rose is amazing for this. So if someone has fallen downstairs and they've had concussions, that can damage that center. So those facial cues and stuff. So doing the oils help to be able to just open all of that up so that that pathway is functioning again. You can do frankincense, myrrh, put those directly on, or you see me a lot doing where I'm putting oils and I'm just rubbing, right? So this doesn't have to be science, just get those oils and use them. Cedar wood and galbanum, those two are fantastic for connection, for being able to connect again. It's a great one if you have a kid, a teenager, a spouse that are really bad with that communication and being able to look, just start diffusing that cedar wood and that galbanum in the house so that you can see some of that connection so they feel a part of things, because that's when they start to withdraw. We want to get there before this happens, right? We want to bring that in. Spikenard Thyme. Both of those increase feelings of love. So you can grab your spikenard and your thyme, and again, just right here, just right on the crown, put those in, breathe them in, put them in your diffuser. Sandalwood. Sandalwood and frankincense are amazing for the focus and for meditation. The Word of God says throughout it. Like, I don't remember how many times, I looked it up one time, but meditation is mentioned throughout the Word of God over and over. And we're all like, well, that's a new age thing. Really? Why are we giving all of our stuff away? Just because somebody uses something for that, we'd have to give up music. Like, if you're going to be like, oh, somebody does it and I don't like how they do it, then I can't do it at all. That's ridiculous. I'm not giving up music. I love my music. I love to worship and praise Father. I'm not going to give up meditation. The word says that meditate on things that are good. Meditate on the word. And you guys, there's so much science showing that meditation and just getting quiet, what it can do for like so many different health issues. So grab your sandalwood, grab your frankincense, get those on, start meditating, even if it's only for a few seconds at a time. We'll talk about that later. So this right here is your brow. It's above your eyebrows, right in the middle, right in this area. But you really can just slap it on your forehead. Okay, so we don't have to be like totally doing things exactly the same, right? But this is your pituitary gland. Now understand your pituitary gland is in charge of a ton of different things. A ton of things. It's in control of your growth hormone. It's in control of your metabolism. It's in control. It has parts and pieces in a ton of different parts of your body. And so metabolism, growth, sexual, growing up. So our teenagers, when they're going from being a child into teenage years, this is the pituitary that's working in that. Reproduction in general, blood pressure. Did y'all know that your pituitary is a part of the blood pressure stuff we have going on? So many different things. So you guys know I'm trying to just go off my notes from the PowerPoint so that I know that they are typed up correctly. So that's what I'm trying to do for you guys. So in this, your hypothalamus, so we're talking about pituitary, but your hypothalamus partners with your pituitary. Your hypothalamus, if you don't know, part of its job is that it controls your entire nervous system. So when you touch something hot and you pull your hand away really quick, instantly, right? That is the nervous system. That's the hypothalamus. But these two work in tandem. Now, the nervous system works super quick, boom, but its actions are only for a minute. So you pull away really quick, that's the hypothalamus. Your pituitary partners with it and it sends out information too, but it goes just a little bit slower and it stays longer. So when hormones are kicked out, they kick around, and sometimes hormones are sent to decrease something and sometimes they are sent to increase. And neither one of those are bad, right? We need this, and our body's job is to keep it nice and balanced. So up, down, up. It's when we're extreme in either direction that our body is not functioning fully like it's supposed to. So even your thyroid is partially controlled by your pituitary because it kicks out TSH. So your pituitary is super important. I'm trying to get pregnant. This is going to happen. It's not the only way it's going to happen. Don't make me have a class on that. But your pituitary has a huge role in that because it helps to stimulate the follicles so that we can actually have an egg mature for a mama. So all kinds of things. And so up here is your spiritual antenna. Right here, this is your emotional antenna. And this is where when we have damage in this area, our hormones are out of whack, that up and down, crazy. That's what's going on. Everything is extreme. It is extremely good, or is it extremely bad? That's what's happening here. And again, we just want to be able to live in this space. We want right here is Mary Poppins, right in the middle, nice and balanced. That's what the goal is. PMS, menopause, those are all signs of a little bit of imbalance. The occasional sadness that happens, and it happens to all of us, especially since we've all been so isolated, or that angry when you don't know why you're so angry. Like, you're really mad and everything is irritating you, but you don't know why. This is where we're at. This is what we want to talk about right now. Some good oils that you can apply to that brow would be things like rosemary. Rosemary is amazing. Um, rosemary and peppermint. That's going to help with the alertness. Because again, that extremes, this is where that constant just, this is a part of that total heavy, dragged, tired going on. So your rosemary and your peppermint can help with that. Then you have things like juniper and lemon and pine. These ones are amazing. Oh, sandalwood. These are all about tranquility and calm. So all the crazy is happening and you're just like, whatever. You're putting your oils on and you can handle that. This is where you're going to do it. If you're feeling like you're not handling it and it's all crazy, this is still where you want to put the oils. This is still what you want to do. Grab your peace and calming, grab your tranquil, and apply those in this area. Cedarwood and myrrh help to release that built up stress so that it doesn't set in your organs. That's the important thing. We want to be able to have it happen and then release it so that it's not here. I don't know where I got it. I'm thinking Kathy Farmer. She's our Royal Crown Diamond. I lovingly and willingly release everything that no longer serves me. Like, I don't need to hold on to all these thoughts. I don't need to hold on to the fear of what's happening in the world today. I can acknowledge it. I can see what's happening. I can even protest when I feel like, but then I can disassociate from it and go on and be a mama and be a grandma and be a wife and play and enjoy life. Because what happens is we get caught in that cycle and we live in the chaos. And what happens when you start using some of the oils is you're able to compartmentalize some of that stuff. It's not that I'm in denial, it's that I'm choosing how I'm going to let it affect me and my family and my world, like my circle. I get to pick that, right? Endogize, y'all. I don't think you ever see me without Endogize. If you're ever at a class, I will always have Endogize, wintergreen, peppermint, deep relief. I think those are mine. They're always going to be there because they're all Energize is all about the balance. So again, whether I'm or I just want to be balanced. I want to be here in the center, right? I want to be right here. Another one that you can use is highest potential, awaken, and into the future. All of those, especially if you're living in that circle and replaying and so bad, everything's bad. Into the future and awaken says, you know what, right now this situation sucks. But you know what? Tomorrow is going to be better because actually when you look at depression is that there's just now and there's nothing's gonna change. And we need to mentally be able to step away from the chaos, step away from the drama, step away from the all the things so that we can move forward. The next one is going to be throat. This is your throat center. This is your thyroid and your parathyroid. Now, most people know about thyroid, but parathyroid, you're like, I don't know. Parathyroid. So your thyroid is like this butterfly little gland that is right here. And for some of you, you can feel it, which is not a good thing. We'll talk about that in depth in our thyroid class. But on the back of those butterflies, there's 4 little glands, and those 4 little glands are your parathyroid. And your thyroid is in control of metabolism. It's in control of your energy. It's in control in some form of your sleep cycle. It's in control of how much you eat and when you are full. It has plays in that. Then your parathyroid, that's in control of your electrolytes and salt absorption and magnesium absorption and all the minerals in and out, the pressure between cells, right? So pressure is supposed to be equal. It's supposed to be just like this between the cells. And what happens is parts of it aren't under control, and that's the parathyroid that comes in and goes, okay guys, and it will control even like blood pressure. Your parathyroids have a lot of control over that because of that salt in and out of the cell and the pressure between cells. So that's a parathyroid. This is your throat center. So everything we're going to talk about right now is going to be relating to putting the oils on this area. And this is your communication center. All right. So this is whether it is physical, spiritual, emotional. This is where we communicate who we are, what we want, what we believe, what we desire, all of those different things. And when this is stifled and we feel like we're not enough, and y'all, this is like this is all of us to some extent because we are raised in a world. Now remember, our RNA is picking up all the information we're getting right now, but it also has the information that my mom had and my dad had and their parents each had. And all of that information is in our RNA, and it's who we are today. And if you go back in the Wayback Machine, children were told all the time, shh, children to be seen and not heard, be quiet, calm down. Even as infants, what do we say to them? Shh, and we pat their butt. Just calm down, quiet down. And then they get to be toddlers and they're yelling and everything's exciting. Like, shh, you don't need to yell. And an inside voice, quiet. And then they get to preschool where they're told to be quiet and stop asking questions and don't talk to your friend right now and be quiet and sit still. And then we get into grade school and it's even worse. Raise your hand if you'd like to be heard. And this is what we say and memorize all of these things and quote it back to me. Memorize and do it. And then we get into high school and not only are our teachers and our parents telling us to shh and quit it and stop and all the things, but now our friends are telling us how stupid we are and to shut up and be quiet and nothing you have to say is important anyways. And we have all these mean things that are said. And by the time you get to college, we're not even trying to step up and say anything. We're in a job and we do exactly what we're told to do and we don't try to do anymore. And no wonder people are terrified to speak in public. Like people would rather be in the coffin than giving the eulogy because we are so afraid to speak. So I'm here to tell you when this is stifled, we can't be true to who we are. And I mean, mean girls will get together and they will try to stifle you. People will say things and oh my gosh, the craziness on the internet right now, looking at conversations. Y'all, we need to know, we have to find out who we are and what our truth is so that we can start to speak up. Is it any wonder that our poor little thyroid is like, I just want to hide. I just want to stay home. I don't want to do anything. And it doesn't want to have energy to go out and do stuff. It wants to stay home and do nothing. Is it any wonder? It's stifled. So oils that are really good to open up your throat center is like chamomile. Chamomile is wonderful to be able to speak your truth with no anger, right? So you're able, it's okay for you to speak your truth. It's not okay for you to hurt somebody else. It's not okay for you to be mean. You just because you, just because like I'm talking about being a Christian and you're like, I'm not a Christian, I'm gonna and be all mean to say and I'm gonna say mean things and we say mean things. Grr, grr. Stop it. It's not okay to be mean. It's okay for you to believe different from me. And chamomile helps us speak our truth without anger. We need to be able to do that. Our children need to be able to speak their truth without being angry when they're speaking it. When we're punishing our children because they step over the line, they do something they shouldn't do, we need to be able to do that without anger. Throw some chamomile in there. Cypress, rosemary, basil, peppermint, cedarwood, and myrtle, and endoflex, because it's got several of those in there, are great for self-expression. So you're trying to get out there again. You're trying to express things. You're trying to type something. Communication isn't just here, right? Communication is anytime we're trying to express ourselves. So you're trying to express something and you're trying to do it, grab some of those oils and it's going to help you to be able to do that more. Frankincense and valor are amazing for helping us to have the courage to speak up, right? To stand for something, to to know what you stand for. Myrrh. Myrrh helps us to be able to communicate with confidence. Myrrh is that one that's just, I love myrrh because myrrh you can partner with 1,000 different things and it empowers whatever you put it with. So if you're putting on some wintergreen because you're like, oh, my thighs, I worked out, my booty's sore, right? So you grab your peppermint because it helps with this releasing some of that. You can take myrrh and put a couple of drops over that. So you put your peppermint on and then you layer your myrrh and myrrh goes in and says, yeah, you go wintergreen. And it just empowers it. But it does the same thing for us. So you can put that myrrh and it empowers you. That's part of myrrh's power. Fennel. Fennel is one I talk about a lot. I'm sure you guys have heard this before, but um, fennel promotes conversation. It gets you willing to talk and willing to share. But the biggest thing is fennel helps you speak your truth. This is a $15 oil that you can apply, that you can take like the Fennel Vitality and put it in warm water and drink it, let it go over your throat center from the inside. And this is one that helps us stand up and speak our truth so that we remember, because a lot of us, we don't even remember what our truth is. We have been told so many times that we have nothing of value, that we're so stupid, that we're now saying it to ourselves. But our own brain is saying, you're not enough. Nobody wants to hear that. Nobody wants to do that with you. All the lies. And Fennel is able to go back in and say, you know what? When I was a kid, I wanted to go parachuting. When I was a kid, I wanted to go climb the mountains. When I was a kid, then everybody told me that I couldn't, so I conformed. And Fennel, y'all, that opens up this whole throat chakra, throat center, and it gets where you are able to start communicating you knew. And considering how inexpensive that one is, I say just grab that one and start putting it on 20 times a day. And say when you're putting it on, I'll speak my truth. What is my truth? What do I want? Because the world is your oyster, my friend. We can be, do, experience anything. And there's nothing that you are not capable of. Nothing. If you have that heart's desire, I believe the word of God. Everything, the whole thing. I believe it. And the word says that God gives us our heart's desire. And I see that in two different ways. I see that one, he gave you the desire. He said, here, want this, want more, want to be amazing. Because he created us as wonderful, amazing, ah, right? And he gave us the desire. And if he gave this to me, he's not, he's going to give me a way to make it happen. He's not going to sit there and go, you want that? So it's to be you, right? No, he gave you that desire. He's going to give you the ability to do it, but then you got to do the action. We got to step out and do the things, all the things to make that your reality. Grab that pedal and start doing it. And if you don't know what your heart's desire is, start throwing on these oils. Our next one is going to go over your heart and thymus. So this right here, oh, where I got cut up. This right here is your heart center, and your heart center includes your thymus. Now, your thymus shrinks up. It's really big in our children, and then as they grow, it shrinks. And when it is big for our children, it's all about the immune system. That's where a lot of the white blood cells and all of that generates through the thymus. And you'll see lots of people tapping, and that's the reason they tap. And that's a whole another class that we could go into. But this area right here, this is I don't even know if you guys know. Do you know that the heart is an endocrine organ? So it's not an endocrine gland. It is an organ that also kicks out hormones. And some of the stuff it kicks out, like the neurotransmitter oxytocin, it huge amounts. And oxytocin is the bonding hormone. That's the one when you look into somebody's eyes or you're nursing a baby and it brings that bond, that close feeling. That is actually excreting from the heart itself, this center right here. But this is also uh, your heart, the hormones that kick out have to do with your kidneys. It has to do with so many, your heart, hang on. I'm going to go back and read it to you guys. Produces hormones that affect blood vessels, kidneys, adrenal glands, and that oxytocin, the relationship bonder. So those are all this center right here. That's what's happening. And then you also get some stimulation for bone marrow and so red blood cells, white blood cells when we're applying oils in this area. So this is that blockage that's going on. So this is where we have the ability to give love and receive love. And those are two different things. So this is when what happens is we build up this wall, this barrier so that we don't get hurt again because we have so many different ways that this area can be damaged. We damage first starts with our parents accidentally, things that are said, things that are done on purpose. You know, some of us have horrible lives and we went through stuff and that we put up a barrier. And it's not like we in our head go logically, I'm no longer going to allow people to hurt me. But we build up a blockage to protect us so we don't get hurt over and over again. Um, our friends at schools, right? So we were talking about shut up, you're stupid, and those can be your friends saying that kind of stuff to you. Teachers, not that teachers do anything to hurt their students on purpose. They got 30 to 40 kids in a classroom, and kids can feel neglected. You know, she didn't call on me, or my score wasn't good enough. She doesn't like me. I'm not smart enough. I'm all of those blockages, because it's anytime there's a relationship, good or bad, this is where that's happening. And that's where that blockage comes from. We have things like frenemies, those people that we're around all the time and we're nice to them because we have to be, but we really would rather never have to be around them again. Those are frenemies, that anger that happens. You getting ready to go to something, you know they're going to be there, and you're like, oh, I hate her. I don't want to be with her. Boyfriends and girlfriends. We're dating, we break up. 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 And we do that all through, grade school now, and high school and college. And is it any wonder that by the time we get married, or that we just don't get married because we can't trust that a partner is going to cherish and take care of our heart. And so we're waiting for the breakup, or waiting for the kick, the thing that's going to happen. And even giving up your heart's desires, those things that you really knew deep down at some point in your life you were going to do, but then you just can't. Something happens and we give it, and that is a hurt. It is a physical hurt. It's hard. A marriage, relationships with your spouse. Oh, your spouse can sometimes be the cause of a lot of the pain that you have, and you just suck it up and you put up the wall and you're like, well, I'm not going to let that happen again, and you stay in the relationship, even though maybe sometimes it's a bad relationship. I'm just saying. And then we even have physical damage. So like medication for your heart, and I just went through all this on my last video, but it can physically damage your heart, right? And it can stop the blockage of what it's supposed to do. When they had to cut in and I had open heart surgery about a year ago, that was damaging. It hurt my heart. I mean, mentally, physically, the whole struggle was real, and we build that up. And oils that are really good to open that back up are things like rose. Rose promotes love when you're wounded. So that wounding that you can have going. So rose, or grieving, when you're grieving, rose is an amazing oil for that. Bergamot. Bergamot opens up the heart and allows love to radiate. So it lets you start showing your love. So if you know you are working on letting your children know, even though you love them so much, but you know that you say hurtful things and you're harsh, try starting using some bergamot, because that can start having that love that you feel for them actually be able to radiate out. Melissa's great for relieving the emotional blocks, taking down just some of that wall, changing that frequency and that vibration. Geranium increases the capacity to love. So it increases your ability and capacity to do that. Geranium also helps us to listen from the heart. So hearing the heart of what somebody's trying to say to you, even if it doesn't, the words. Okay, so like I do these huge conferences. I've shared this story before because it happens a lot. So we do these huge conferences and everything goes really well, and everybody comes up at the end like, oh my gosh, I learned so much, and they'll ask questions. They'll go, oh, I just appreciate you so much. Man, if you just weren't so big, if we could figure out why you're so big, or all the different phrases of saying, hey, fatty, because I'm a big woman, but I'm listening to their heart, and that's geranium, because their heart is saying, you have so much to offer. I wish that I could help you, because I talk about the fact that I wish I wasn't the size I was, but I love food. It's a whole other story. And I know they're not trying to be mean. So understanding that geranium is going to help you listen to what they're really trying to say and not take offense. We take offense far too easily from people. You have to literally say, Shannon, I'm angry at you. I'm not speaking to you. I'm mad, for me to know that I did something. Like I assume everybody loves me and they want good things for me. And that is what I receive. So even if somebody, when they said I was fat, was meaning it mean, I don't hear that, because I get to choose how I respond to the world around me. That's geranium. Then you've got lavender. Lavender is very calming and soothing to the heart. You have spikenard and hope and believe. Those promote what? Hope. Those promote that excitement that maybe things are going to be okay. And I'm going to tiptoe my toes into the water again. Pine and fir open up your heart. They break down some of that wall you have so that you can receive a little love, so that you're not seeing it through jaded eyes. Harmony, white angelica, aroma. Those are amazing for loneliness and disharmony, heartbreak. Those are great. So maybe all of us need to be putting some of those on right now because everybody's so lonely. So I'll say those again: harmony, white angelica, aroma life. Those are for loneliness, disharmony, and heartbreak. Then you have Ylang Ylang. Ylang Ylang, clove, goldenrod, heliochrysum. These are just loving to the heart in general. These are phenomenal. Aroma light. Those are ones that you can just rub directly over that heart and you'll see some good things. So the next one is our stomach center, and that is pancreas. And I put the liver in there because the liver is the beginning of every steroid hormone you have in your body. It is the precursor. So we have to count that as being open. When the liver is clogged and full of garbage, you're not going to get that good flow that we're, because we have to have cholesterol. That's another class shot. Cholesterol is your friend. It is the beginning of every steroid hormone, and a steroid hormone is things like testosterone, DHEA, progesterone, estrogen, all those good hormones that we need start in the liver with cholesterol. And then we've got your pancreas. The pancreas is in control of so much, y'all. So many different enzymes that your beautiful pancreas kicks out. And then it's also in charge of insulin and it's in charge of glycogen, which means it's going to determine whether or not your body is going to burn the fuel that you have or store the fuel that you have. That's part of what your pancreas is in control of. And again, all those enzymes to break down all of the parts and pieces. Actually, your pancreas, most people don't realize, we always think insulin, but your pancreas only this much of its job is insulin. The rest of it is enzymes, 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 enzymes. So really important there. When this is our emotional and physical control center right in this area. So this controls, like I said, whether or not you're going to um, uh, use the fuel or store the fuel. It's where we, you know, how when you get really upset during the pit of your stomach and you're angry or you're mad, this is where we're talking about. This is when you're worried or angry or sad, you're going to feel it right in the pit of your belly. And this is what we're talking about. When I say laughter does good like a medicine and we laugh, it radiates from this center right here. And so that laughter doing good helps to release a lot of that built up tension and garbage that we have going on. When the emotions are bottled up and they're not released, it causes damage. It backs up into your pancreas and it gets into the liver and it gets into the intestines and all that. You know, how many times have you had some garbage going on and you find yourself constipated or major loose stools? This is what we have going on. So we need to open this up. This is our perception of who we are. Like, who do we think we're supposed to be? Not necessarily who we are, but what we think other people think we're supposed to be. So how are we supposed to act? What do my parents want from me? What does my spouse want from me? What does my employer want? What does this person on Facebook that I'm acting angry with? And then this person over here that's all sweetsy and I'm trying to be all these different people. This is that seat. This is where that confusion is coming in. That's where funnel up here, finding your real truth, opening your wall, and then finding out who you are instead of worrying about what everybody else wants. Because we hold all of that in because we perceive ourselves as not enough. We're not enough. I can't be the wife he wants me to be. I'm a horrible mother. I can't be the mother they want me to be. I can't homeschool. I only homeschool. Like, y'all, who are you? Who are you? Because as long as you're trying to be 50,000 different people, you don't get to be you. And you are amazing. You were created for greatness. I'm just here to tell you. Some oils that are really good for your stomach center are things like rosemary, Jupiter, maybe juniper. Jupiter is a planet. Both of those, rosemary and juniper, protect against negative, and they help to restore that confidence in who you are. Cedarwood and pine, those helping to strengthen your self-esteem, who you are, your confidence, your willpower. So if you're finding that you do the same things over and over and over again, and you're like, I'm just trying to not do XYZ or to do XYZ, and you're in that same pattern setting, that's where you can use that cedarwood and pine. They really help to break that up. So those are good. Then you've got chamomile. Chamomile, again, that's super calming and it helps us to accept our limitations. This is important. There are things that you can't do, and it's out of your control. It just is what it is. And we have to learn that that's okay and to be okay. Like, I, I have MS. It's just a thing. It is what it is. And so I can't do hot temperatures. If I do, I end up in a wheelchair because my legs just don't function. I can't control my hot or my cold. So like I can be in Florida and end up with mhm, super cold. Can't remember hypothermia. Because it's just it is what it is. I can't control that, and I can be angry about it, and I can have a temper tantrum about it, and I can be like, "Woe is me," I'm gonna go eat worms, or I can be like, you know what, I'm gonna chamomile it. There are days. There's days where it's hard and it hurts, and I don't like that I have things I can't do. But I'm not willing to sit back and do nothing forever. So I have two choices. I can wallow in it, or I can say, you know what, today's the day I get to have my blankie. I'm going to oil up, and I'm just going to watch a stupid rom-com. But tomorrow, I'm going to get up and I'm going to do the things. And that's where we have to make that change. We have to learn to be okay with who we are, exactly the way we are. And you know what? It's okay. You are perfect. Everything you have, every experience that you have been through has made you the person you are today. And somebody needs you. You have inside you something somebody else needs. And we need to be willing to share that and tell people. I'm just saying. Then we've got harmony, frankincense, joy, and fennel. Those encourage confidence. We've talked about fennel a lot in our frankincense. Okatea, digize, tummy jize, peppermint. Those all restore balance. So you can take those and rub them all over that stomach center. Powerful for restoring that. Then you've got things like release and our Juva flax and our Juva cleanse. And those are ones that over that liver center, or I mean over your stomach center with your liver and your pancreas. These are great ones that you can apply that you're going to see some differences in getting those pathways just nice and cleaned out. Lead them. Lead them when it's available because I know it goes in and out of stock. Heliocosm, same thing. Really great for rubbing over that area. Okay, so the next one, I gotta go so much faster, you guys. I'm already at the hour point. I'm so sorry. We have navel and ovaries. Your navel is your ovaries and testicles. So your navel is about 3 inches north of your belly button. So when you're putting the oils, that's what we're talking about. I don't know if you guys know this. I find it a fascinating thing. In the womb, we all start out as female. All of us. We start as female, and then later the traits, remember, RNA, decide what it's going to go. So whether we're an X or a Y, that's part of it. In your ovaries and testicles, that's all of our sex hormones. And next week, our class is going to be all about sex. So if you don't want to hear me talking about, sex, you're probably going to want to stay away from this one because I'll be talking about nipples and penises and vaginas. This is going to happen. So if that makes you uncomfortable, stay away from that class. And we're going to be really going in depth because it's so important. And in addition to that, you've got like your oxytocin, your serotonin, your dopamine, all of these neurotransmitters that help us to feel good, feel amazing. So this is where we respond to pleasure. And not just sexual pleasure. This particular area is where we have food. You love food. I love to cook. I love food. That's pleasure. Addictions of any kind. This is all in this center. All of those. So it doesn't matter which you're talking about your navel center, and this is where you're going to find that. When we've been abused, whether it is sexually or emotionally or physically, we've been abused. This is where that blockage happens. So this is the one that will get tied into a knot, and so there's no flow of communication going through. And remember, this does not have to have been you because you are made of two separate people who are made of four different people who are made of eight different people who are made of, you get where I'm going with that, right? So there's garbage we have to be able to be willing to acknowledge and then release. I lovingly release everything that no longer serves me. This is where I think the important part to remember is this can be transferred to our children. Just like we got it from our parents, it can be transferred. So taking the time to work and changing those vibrations and the frequency and helping the RNA to be erased and rewritten as the perfect DNA. and think so that we can say this far, no further. You know, the word says that the sins of the father are passed down on the generation, next generation, generation. That is where that is coming from. It's not because God went, hey, your great, 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 great grandfather was awful. He's the problem, and you have to be punished. It doesn't work that way. It's because that RNA, that transcription, that antenna has picked it up and it has set it in there. So we get to change that for our children. This is when this is damage. This is when men or women, when we feel super inadequate, when men don't feel like they're the man, and they have to, when people are like, oh, I just don't know, and we can't make a decision of any kind. This is where that damage is, because we should be able to make a decision. The big joke of where people want to go out to eat and they can't make a decision. This is that area, and it might not seem like a big deal, but I want you to take that concept to every decision in your life. If you can't make a decision on where you're going to eat or what you're going to eat, how are you going to make a decision on where you're going to live, what your finances are going to be, all the things? I'm just saying. Um, Having decreased sexual desire. This is the where that blockage would be. Inability to maintain an erection, prostate stuff, all those things. Um, Zero desire to have intercourse for women. No desire to inability to have an orgasm. All the things, and we'll go a little more in depth on the physiological side of that next week. Good oils that you can put over your navel center. Sandalwood and cedarwood, they promote emotional and sensual release. Cypress, digest, and frankincense, they help to relieve the inner turmoil, that stuff that you don't know why you feel that way. That's right, put that right over that navel center. Just, you can rub it right from the belly button down and see some stuff. Clary sage, super good for emotionally uplifting. Geranium helps that female creativity. So it helps us to have that female sensuality that we want. Rose, another one, helps with that sensuality, and it helps to connect your navel to your heart center so that there's communication between the two. Ylang Ylang, amazing for balancing the male and the female and bringing that balance, because we all should have that balance. Again, we start as female. We all have testosterone and estrogen. We all have progesterone. Like, it's just in different amounts. So we need that balance happening. For men, goldenrod, Idaho blue spruce, Mr. Shutran, all of those really strengthen and balance the male. So it's powerful for that. Then Progessence Plus, Sclare Essence, Dragon Time, those are female. Those really help to balance the female as well. Again, we'll go way more in depth on that next week. Then we've got your root center. That is your adrenals in your prostate. That is at the base of the spine, in front of the tailbone and sex organs. So that is your root. And this is when your root center is functioning properly, it helps with your normal inflammatory response. So we don't have that extra inflammation that we talked about in some of the other classes. Also helps at partners with controlling the glucose and glycogen storage, choosing which way it's going to go. Affects sodium and kidney function, cortisol production. Cortisol is that stress hormone. So whether you're going to run or you're going to hide or you're going to fight, all the different things, that's in there. Adrenaline, noradrenaline, those are all a part of it. This is our foundation in our security, right? So this is where we that sixth sense that something's happened, the hair on the back of your neck, you sense that there's something watching you from the woods. All of this is your root. That is where that's happening. This is where we decide how we're going to respond to outside forces. So the things that are outside of us, that sphere, that bubble that we talked about, this is how we do that. We're going to decide whether or not we're going to fight, or we're going to run, or we're going to, I'm not going to be on Facebook anymore. We're going to close it because we're going to hide. All of those things. When we really get tired of the fight, which is what is happening right now, that's where the adrenals kick in and we decide to hide. This is where we show tension, fear. It's all this area right here. This is where nightmares and the depression that comes from not getting enough sleep, this is all happening in this general area right here. Self-hate, if that's something that you have going on. Uh, when your security is just really shaken, like you're unbelievably shaken that just happened. This is all that foundational stuff. So oils that are good to do near the root center are things like Endoflex, myrrh. They strengthen, energize, and restore. Then you've got things like sandalwood. I'm sorry, cedarwood. Cedarwood helps us to connect. Sandalwood too. Sandalwood and cedarwood both help us to be able to connect. Myrtle encourages forgiveness. Do you guys think we need like a couple bottles of myrtle and the bottle of forgiveness? They're also really amazing with acceptance and empowerment. Then you've got cypress and frankincense and valor, stability and protection. That's what we're talking about. And then like energy. Energy is one of my favorites because energy takes us from freeze or hide, whichever one you want to call that, and it takes us back into action. So it restores that. So we're like, okay, I gotta do something. Like I said, on the days when I'm really flustered because my body is just not cooperating and I want to be able to do XYZ and I have the pity party, because it happens. Then I have to go to energy and say, you know what? I'm gonna do something anyways. And energy helps us to push through so that we don't stay in that place. And then that's when that cycle repeats over and over and over. So I just wanted to clear up some of those blockages for you guys. And I'm hoping that I didn't overwhelm you or that it wasn't too long or it wasn't too much or it wasn't too frou-frou. But the rest of the classes that we're going to be doing are going to be on specific glands, the nutrients they need, how we can fix them, how they chit chat with one another. So it will be definitely more physiological going on. I do want to let you know that on Saturday we're doing a class on the love languages. I'm so excited. I've been writing that one up and I'm so excited about it because getting that communication, y'all, it's just going to change things for people. So I'm definitely going to be doing that. I'm going to read all of your questions because when I look at the questions when I'm talking, I have problems. That's why I really wanted this to be a Zoom so we could chit chat now and you could ask your questions and we could talk about them as a group. So I'm going to try to get that going next week. I don't know what I did wrong this week. I'm going to have somebody try to help me with that. And that way you can ask your questions and things. You can, if you want, ask your questions now and I will try to answer them. Or you can also save your questions and ask them next week when we are on based on Zoom. The PowerPoint will get posted up here probably in the next hour or so. That way, everything I just said, or at least the really important, like what oils for what, those will be in the notes section on PowerPoint. So even if you don't usually use the presentations and share them with people, you can at least, that's your notes. So you'll have those completely ready. Because I know for some people, I like to read. That's like the way I learn. So I thought that that would be helpful for everybody. And go ahead, tell the people, share, let people know. All right, you guys, love you, and we will see. Oh, also, if y'all want to, we're doing a business Zoom. Oh my gosh, I hope that it works. A brand partner Zooms this Thursday at 6 o'clock. And this week it's going to be on going over all the new stuff that corporate has going on and some stuff we found out on the Diamond Zoom, and it's going to be fantastic. You're welcome to join us. Even if you don't know if you want to be a brand partner yet, you can come join us and see what all the hubbub's about. All right, you guys, love you much. Chat with you later.